Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dustin Harris hanging out with you, the Appraiser Coach podcast. Welcome once again to my walk-in closet. Sorry for that, folks on the coach cam. You know, it is what it is. Honestly, this is the best sound-proof room I've got in my house. It's right in the middle of the house, totally surrounded by clothes. I'd like to tell you they're all my wife's clothes, but honestly, I think she actually probably has less clothes than I do. Yeah. I had some things on my mind. I'm at home. This is the best place to record when I've got something on my mind. I could wait till I get to the quote unquote studio, but I would rather just do it today. I want to talk to you today about something that I've relayed a little bit before in my blogs. I don't know if I've done it so much in the podcast. It probably is a theme that has been recurring throughout the podcast, but I don't know if I have actually dedicated an entire episode to the topic of attitude. And I'm not talking about some cheesy, motivated speaker type platitudes here. I'm talking about real life attitude and what it does for you and can do for you in your life. I want to pause here first, and of course, remind you that we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. Folks, I'm in the process right now. In fact, I just finished renewing with OREP, and I'm telling you, these guys are primo. Great to deal with. I can't wait to tell you about the experience because I think you'll be surprised if you've had dealings with other E&O companies. Right now, go to orep.org. That's orep.org. Alamode is a great sponsor here, software that I've been using for over 20 years, folks. I've been using this software. I love it. I'm seeing lots of people switch over to Alamode for good reason. Go to alamode.com. It's alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE for more information. And finally, we are sponsored by DataMaster. If you want to save 60 minutes per report, that's right, 30 to 60 minutes per report, you're going to want to use DataMaster. DataMasterUSA.com, and you can go to DataMasterUSA.com and just search to find out if they're in your area. Check them out right now. All right, folks, I want to talk to you a little bit about attitude. I see it a lot. I don't know what it is about appraisers. And some people are going to say, you know what, Dustin, it's in every industry. It's in every profession. And I agree. It is. But no doubt in my mind, because I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of different industries, a lot of different professionals. I was in a mastermind group for several years that met down in Southern California. It was a very high net worth type mastermind where I was rubbing shoulders with CEOs and business owners from a variety of different professions. And we had opportunity on several occasions, many occasions, every time we met. Which was, by the way, every quarter. I flew to Santa Monica, and we met together for an entire day. And it was a great, wonderful experience. A lot of breakout groups, and I got to know the individuals. There's about 35 in that group, and we had a lot of breakout groups with different people every time. And I had an opportunity to be exposed to many, many different industries. Really, I don't think there was anybody, maybe one or two people were in similar industries, but for the most part, everybody was in their own industry. And I would talk about the appraisal industry, and I would talk about some of the things that I was dealing with as an appraiser. And I'm telling you, this is going to be anecdotal, but I'm telling you, they were blown out of their socks about the attitude amongst appraisers and really universally across the nation. I think you know what I'm talking about. If you're on Facebook, if you're on social media at all, if you talk to other appraisers, if you just deal in your own head, you know what I'm talking about. Folks, we're dealing with regulations, and those can be very, very difficult and challenging. We are dealing with an aging workforce. We are dealing with changes in technology and ways of doing things at an unsurpassed rate. Other than just the last few years. And what I am seeing with appraisers across the nation is that many of us have very difficult time moving forward. We like status quo. We like the way things were. We want things to be like that forever. And as things change, technology changes, software changes, Dodd-Frank comes, HVCC, regulations, AMCs, low fees, scope creep, MC addendums, UADs. I mean, I could go on and on and on, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's a challenge, folks. I'm not I'm not immune to what's going on in the profession. I'm not immune to it at all. I deal with it every day. Some people just think I'm the appraiser coach and that's all I do. And I'm just out there teaching other individuals how to be successful as appraisers. Well, folks, guess what? My bread and butter is still running an appraisal business. That's what I do on a daily basis. I spend a lot more time every week being an appraiser than being a coach or a mentor to other appraisers. That is where I deal in my livelihood. That's what pays my bills. That's what pays my mortgage. That's what makes my car payment. Being an appraiser is what I am. And I like doing it. I really do. I very much enjoy being an appraiser, but I still have to deal with the same crapola that every one of you are dealing with as well. And I get it. I really do. I really understand. I think I understand. I mean, I'm in the trenches. I understand what we're dealing with. That being said, I also can sometimes have the ability to step outside. So as a coach, as a mentor, on a regular basis, I have to step outside myself. I have to step outside of who I am. I have to say, okay, Dustin, you may do things this way, but that doesn't mean that's the only way. There's many different ways to kill a cat, as they say. There's kill a cat, skin a cat. Sorry, cats. I guess you'd die either way. There's many different ways to skin a cat. There's, many roads to Rome, if you will. When I first started mentoring, I've probably told the story before, but when I first started mentoring other appraisers, I had found some really great success as an appraiser. I mean, really good success. And I looked around and I saw what my peers were doing, and I realized that I was doing 4, 5, 6 times the volume as a single person entity that any of my appraiser friends were doing. And then as I expanded and grew my office and added more appraisers and more assistants and better technology and systems, holy cow, systems to make all of this work, it became very apparent that I had something that was unique. I had something that was different than what most of my peers were doing. And so I had this bright idea, as my wife would say, bright idea, that I would go out and teach other appraisers how to be successful. And initially, that thought process was no more mature than to say, I'm going to bottle up what I was doing and deliver that to the masses. I was going to write a book. I was going to do a workshop. I was going to basically say, hey, folks, you're doing it all wrong. Look at me. Look what I've done. Look at the success I've found. If you will just copy me, you can be successful too. Now, I'm not saying that that can't happen. I know of several of my students who have, as closely as they possibly could, have copied my way of doing things and have found great success in doing so. Okay? So it can be done. That being said, in the first 6 months that I was teaching other appraisers how to be successful, the biggest lesson by far that Dustin Harris learned was that Dustin Harris is unique. Dustin Harris's process is unique, and nobody is going to be able to duplicate that exactly. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Everybody has a unique market. Everybody has a unique ability. Everyone has a unique specialty. Everyone has a unique characteristic that they can apply to their business. And what I found very quickly was that I needed to adapt as a coach to my students, my clients' atmosphere. I needed to get away from this idea that Dustin Harris has a package deal. Here it is, bottled it up, open the bottle, drink the poison, and you've got success, right? That's not how it works. As a mentor, and I've been doing this now for a little over 6 years, as a mentor, I have been able to mentor literally, at this point, I think thousands, but at least hundreds one-on-one of appraisers across the nation, and teach them and share with them some principles and ideas, but mostly, and this is where this story is going, mostly be able to listen to them and to hear what it was that they were dealing with, and to then step in and say, okay, let me ask a few questions. Let's go through this process. Let's break this down into little chunks and say, okay, here's your goal. Here's the big vision at the end of the tunnel. Let's find out where you're at. Let's find out where you're going to be. Let's move you through this process of being able to tweak this and change this and completely revamp and remodel over here. but be able to move along a path that may not be the same path that Dustin Harris traveled, but a path that can and should be successful for you as an appraiser. And that has been the key to my success as a mentor, as a teacher, as a coach to other appraisers. It's being able to A, listen to them, B, assess where they want to be and where they are now, and C, be able to together, unified, put together a plan and start to implement that plan that can take them from point A to point B. Folks, that's really what my mastermind group is all about. Every quarter, we meet together physically in the same room, a group of 6 to 8 other appraisers who are highly successful and who are pushing to that next level, to be able to sit down with them and be able to say, here's where it is, here's where we're going, here's what we're going to do. By the way, I should mention, total side note, but I brought up the mastermind group. You know what? I'll save that announcement to the end. So remind me. Got something to say about the mastermind group. But the point that I'm trying to make is, as a mastermind group, we sit together and every single person comes to that group every 3 months, every quarter. They come to that group with a different problem or set of problems, a different question, a different situation. Everybody in that group, not one person in that group has I would say even a similar business plan. Similar probably. I'll give you that. Similar, yes. But exactly the same, not even close. Everybody in that room has a different situation. I might be sitting here and Tom on this side of me is saying, hey, I've got 3 appraisers now that are working for me. I've got 2 other individuals that I'm ready to train. I've got, these 4 or 5 assistants working for me and a VA over in the Philippines. And here's my situation. And Sally may be across the table from Tom saying, you know what, I'm it. I'm the only appraiser. Here's what I'm doing for my volume. I'm ready to switch from, whatever software to Total. And I need some help in that process. Everybody that comes to that room has a different set of challenges, a different set of questions, and a different set of goals, and a different vision for what they want their company to look like. And guess what? That's okay. What is the point of the story, Dustin? Get to the point, would you? I will. Here's the point. The point is this. When I went into coaching, I thought that there was a one-size-fits-all way to coach. And what I found very quickly is that everybody has their own set of circumstances that they're dealing with. And to be successful as a coach, which I think I have been, I think the testimonials speak for themselves, I had to learn to adapt. And I had to learn how to say, you know what, Dustin, you might have some principles that are universal, but the application of such principles is going to be specific to each and every individual. Okay, so what does that do for me? And why am I talking about all this when I'm talking about a podcast on attitude? Here's why. What I have found is that we as appraisers deal with some very unique things in the marketplace in general. When I say the marketplace, I'm talking about the entire marketplace, okay? As professionals, again, going back to the mastermind that I belonged to years ago, I learned very quickly that as professionals, we have unique situations, okay? I don't know of any other professional out there that has to deal with AMCs, for example, okay? Now, you all know I'm not anti-AMC. I'm not pro-AMC. AMCs just are what they are, right? They are what they are, and you either choose to deal with them or you choose not to deal with them. I see some huge problems with AMCs on one hand. And I see some huge benefits to AMCs on the other hand. I think AMCs on several occasions have saved my bacon from passing on a report that frankly was just crap. And an AMC caught it and said, hey, Dustin, have you thought about this? Oh, yeah, thanks for not sending that on to the client before I was able to fix it. In other words, there's some pros and there's some cons. Now, I know most of you are screaming at the radio and saying, Dustin, okay, sure, yeah, there's a few pros, but mostly cons, right? Hey, I get it. Folks, again, 85% of my work is AMC work. I understand. I get it. I'm dealing in the trenches. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. How you decide to deal with reality can make or break your success. When we come back from the break, I want to talk about why. And I want to talk about what you can specifically do about it. First, I want to pause here and talk to you about an experience that I had just the last couple of weeks with OREP Insurance. OREP has been my E&O insurance for the last couple of years. Now, it's now time to renew. 2016, I had more success as a single person entity than I have had ever. It was our best year so far if you're only talking about me as an appraiser. Now, gross receipts, I've done better, okay? But it was when I had 4 appraisers working for me. As the only appraiser in my office, we had an incredible year in 2016. Incredible, okay? When I got ready to renew my E&O, I was a little sticker shocked when the first quote came back. And I called up Lori at OREP and I said, Lori, holy cow, what's going on here? You know, my premium's going way up. And she says, well, your gross receipts went way up. And I said, well, yeah, they did. But I don't want to pay any more in E&O. And she says, well, let me see what I can do. Within a couple days, Lori came back with a significantly half as much, 50% less quote. Why? Because real people shopped around real prices with real companies. Here's the great thing about OREP. They don't deal with one company. They are a broker, which allows them to shop around and find the best deal, and she did for me. Folks, check out OREP Insurance, OREP.org. It's OREP.org for more information. I've been working with DataMaster for the last, 4 or 5 years. Love what they do. If they are in your area, folks, and you can check it out, by the way, just go to datamasterusa.com. Check them out and find out if DataMaster can and will work in your area. If they can, I don't know what you are waiting for. Folks, if you want to literally save, and this is not hype, this is not hyperbole, this is not rhetorical, this is the actual truth, you can and will save 30 to 60 minutes per report. Why? DataMaster imports data that you have to physically, either you or somebody else that you pay has to import anyway. Why not let technology work for you and avoid all of the fat finger and the human mistakes that happen? DataMaster can do that for you. Check them out right now. It's datamaster.com/coach, datamaster.com/coach, or you can go to datamasterusa.com and check them out. And I would highly encourage that you try their 14-day free trial and find out why they will save you so much time. Speaking of saving time, I got a Vox a communication from my office today. We use a little app called Voxer, and got a little deal from my office saying, hey, isn't there some kind of a trick in Alamo that allows you to be able to take whatever is in either the subject line or comp 1 and just across the board be able to just, one click of a button and have that all filled in? And I said, well, thanks for asking. There actually is. And by the way, folks, Alamode is absolutely full of these tips and tricks that allow you to do more with less. I said, hit F2. She did. Amazing. Bam. It's all there. Those are the types of things that Alamode has engineered because they care about appraisers and they want you to be able to save time in every single report. Folks, so many things that you can find out. By the way, they've got a video on their website. You don't even have to be an Alamode user to check it out. Go to their website, alamode.com, check out their videos, and I think it's called Tips for faster reports or something like that. I think it's on YouTube as well. It's a very short video, maybe 5-6 minutes, but they just, F2 equals 1. All of these little shortcuts that allow you to be able to do more with less. Folks, you'll be blown away. Literally, if you want to be more effective, more efficient at what you do as an appraiser, you need to be using Alamode. If you're not, check them out right now. Alamode.com/coach. Alamode.com/coach. All right, folks, we are back. We're talking about attitude today. Specifically, we're talking about the attitude of appraisers. Let me set this up this way. I lurk on several online boards, mostly on Facebook. There's several closed and secret groups on Facebook. I know it sounds really hokey, right? Especially those of you who are not on Facebook. It just means that they're not public. You have to find out about them. Sometimes you have to be invited to them. But for the most part, you can find them out there, okay? And I participate on these boards. And there's other places that I participate as well. I try as a coach, as a mentor, as an appraiser, I try to keep my nose to the ground, my ear to the ground, if you will. The image of Tonto with his ear to the railroad tracks, right, listening for the train to come. I try to keep my head to the ground to find out what is going on in the industry. I want to know what's going on so I can pass that on to you, my listeners, so that I can deal with my own life as an appraiser. You know, I knew that HVCC was coming before HVCC came because I was paying attention, and it wasn't a big surprise when it happened. And I know a lot of people were caught off guard. That doesn't say anything special about me or my magic crystals. That has to do with just paying attention to what's going on in Congress and paying attention to what's going on in the appraisal profession as a whole. Okay, setting it up, what I'm saying is this. What I find on a regular basis is a lot, man, I can't even emphasize, a lot of negative attitudes when it comes to the appraisal profession. And I can attribute it to a couple different things. First of all, there's a lot of appraiser sources out there, okay? You'll remember, if you haven't listened to my Appraiser Source podcast, don't get offended by that. It has nothing to do with age, okay? I'm not talking about you guys that have been around a long time that, frankly, I look up to and admire and learn a lot from. That's not what I'm talking about. We're not talking about Appraiser Sources as far as age goes. We're talking about Appraiser Sources. These are people who live in 2 decades ago. They found a way that worked for them. Appraisals worked really well on this system that they set up, and they refuse to move forward. They refuse to change. They refuse to look at what change is coming in the industry and embrace it. Instead, they complain, and they say, oh, boy, gee, I sure wish things were great like they used to be in 1989. Okay, great. Yeah, things might have been great in 1989. You know, some of you are yelling and say, are you kidding me, Dustin? That was the worst year I ever had. My point is this. My point is not 1989. My point is, as an appraiser, and more importantly, as a business owner, folks, as a business owner, are you able to step back and say, okay, guess what? I can affect change, and I want to get involved. And you know, this third draft, the AQB third exposure draft, have you written to them, folks? Have you sent in your comments? If not, what the hell are you complaining about, right? If you don't have, what do they say? If you don't vote, you can't complain, right? If you're not making your voice be heard, shame on you. You should be making your voice heard. You should be joining coalitions. You should be involved with other appraisers that are joining together, unified for a voice in trying to change the crap that we have to deal with as appraisers. But, and this is a big but, folks, you cannot do it alone. And number two, sometimes you get fed what you get fed. Now, that doesn't mean that Dustin Harris is saying roll over and play dead and just go with the flow and whatever they tell you to do, you better do. That's not what I'm saying at all. At all. Okay? I'm saying you get involved. I'm saying you try to change things. I'm saying that you get politically active and you make as much change as you possibly can as an appraiser. But at the end of the day, things are what they are. And yes, you can maybe change them in the future, and you should still continue to work on it. And that change will come. But that being said, we have to deal in reality. And part of dealing in reality is waking up to the realization that things are what they are, and you are either going to not necessarily embrace, but realize and recognize what truth is, and either deal with that as a business owner or sit back like every other appraiser source and complain about it. The appraiser source does nothing about change except complain about it. The appraiser source has a crappy attitude because they've been dealt crap. And they say, you know what? If we didn't have AMCs, man, I could make so much more money. And I would say BS on that. Okay? Because if you can't make money with the AMCs, you probably can't make money without AMCs. What did Dustin just say? Oh, my word. Blow up the comment section. Yeah, I meant it. Here's the deal. You either have an attitude of success or you don't. And we have what we have, folks. I've been able to build an incredible and a successful, like I said, last year was my best year ever. And 85% of what I do is with AMCs. Oh, well, Dustin, you must be doing these 200 and 225 and 250 appraisals, right? Nope. Not at all. Customary and reasonable. I deal only with A and B clients, clients that I can work with, clients that I like, clients that give me good fees, good turn times, not ridiculous steps and scope creep. That's the kind of companies that I work with, which means I don't work with a lot of companies, but I do work with specific hand-picked AMCs that work very well. See, here's an example of attitude. I could sit back and say, well, all the AMCs are crappy. I got treated crappy by this AMC, and I got treated crappy by that AMC, and I went out and I did this appraisal, and they just came back with this, and this, and this, and that. I can't deal with AMCs, and you throw the whole loot out, right? Is that a word? Loot? I probably used it wrong. You throw the whole bucket out, right? The baby, the bathwater, everything. And you say, I just won't deal with AMCs. Okay, fine. That's a business decision. Great. And I respect that business decision. But don't get so down on everybody else who chooses to work with AMCs. Okay? I work with appraisers across the nation, and I'm sorry, most of them won't admit that they're working for AMCs, but there's sure a hell of a lot of AMCs that are in business because appraisers are working for them. Okay? What am I trying to say? I think there's a whole lot of appraisers working for AMCs, and they're doing just fine. Now, do I have complaints about some AMCs? Absolutely. Do I have complaints even about some of the AMCs that I'm working for? Absolutely. Do I wish things were differently? Absolutely. Are there things that I'm trying to change? Absolutely. But the first thing that I can change, the most important thing that I can change, is Dustin Harris's attitude. And that's something I wake up with every single day of my life. If you've taken my Go Create Some Value workshop, you know about my prime time. I'm not going to go into the details now, but let's just say the first 20 minutes of my day, I spend differently than I spend the rest of my day. And it is a gate that opens a door to a completely different ability to be able to handle life. Prime time is what it's about. Prime time for me is time for me to prime my pump. And there's specific things that I do almost every morning, not every morning, but almost every morning, that allow me to be able to face the world with a good attitude. Now, that doesn't mean crap's not going to happen during the day. It will. It absolutely will. Guaranteed. Whether it be with family, whether it be with my neighbors, whether it be with a homeowners association that I get to be the treasurer of. Love that, right? Whether it be with work, my employees, my clients, the homeowners that I deal with. Folks, I deal with the same stuff that you're dealing with every single day. But what I try to do, and I'm not super successful at this, I'm a human being, but what I try to do every day is to face everything with a good attitude. There's a difference between complaining and recognizing what is and then doing something about it. Let me say that again. There's a difference between complaining, which, by the way, gets you nothing other than maybe a listening ear for a little bit, maybe. There's a difference between that and getting off your butt and doing something about it. And I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to get a little negative here for just a second, because this is what spurred this podcast today. I just got off one of these online forums, and 3 posts in a row were all about the negative aspects of our business and how it sucks to be an appraiser. And by the way, that's their words, not mine. Sucks to be an appraiser. Here's what happened to me today. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Great. I have crappy days too. And sometimes I want to vent. But folks, 3 in a row on the same forum. The other one was I can't wait to retire from this blankety blank job. And I just thought to myself, folks, holy smokes, if you're dealing with that every single day of your life, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. But Dustin, it's not my fault. It's regulations. It's my state board. It's AMCs. It's scope creep. I talk to the hand. I get it. Folks, I'm dealing with the same profession. I'm in the same profession. The last 22 years, I've been an appraiser. I get it. I get it. I get it. It sucks sometimes. The only thing that I can truly have control over, though, is me and my attitude. That doesn't mean I like everything that comes about in the appraisal profession. But it does mean if I'm going to be successful as an appraiser business owner, I have to choose it. I have to choose it. Okay? That doesn't mean you can choose to be happy all the time. I get it, folks. I've dealt with people in my life that deal with clinical depression. I get it. It's a thing. Sometimes you can't just wake up and say, I'm going to be happy today, right? I get that certain chemicals don't work right in certain people's body. And by the way, my heart and my empathy goes out to those people. I've had people close to me in my life that have had to deal with that problem. But that's not what we're talking about here. I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm talking about people who choose to have a crappy attitude because they've been dealt crap. I'm not going to deny they've been dealt crap. You have been. I get it. We all have been. There's a lot of things we need to change. But folks, if you want to be successful as an appraiser, more importantly, if you want to be successful as an appraisal business owner, you have to own not just your business, but your life, your attitude, your everything. You have to own it. And that means you have to accept responsibility for how you react. It means that you have to choose your attitude. It means that you don't bury your head in the sand and pretend there's nothing wrong. That's not what I'm saying. You have to deal with reality, but deal with reality and have a positive attitude. Holy smokes. I'll tell you the coolest thing about my mastermind group. I have handpicked every person in that group. Now, we have 6 mastermind groups across the country. We have Washington, D.C. We have Chicago. We have 2 in Las Vegas, 1 in Dallas, and another one in Salt Lake. Now, that doesn't mean I've gone out and handpicked all the appraisers and said, hey, please come join my mastermind. They've come to me. But folks, there is a vetting process, and not everybody gets through it. If I sense, and maybe I'm tipping my cards a little bit here, but if I sense that you have a negative attitude toward the appraisal profession, I'm not gonna say yes. You're not gonna be in our group. We are not a group of appraisers who sits around for an entire day and bitches and moans about what's going on in the appraisal profession. Far from it. What we are is a group of people, business owners first, appraisers second, who sit in that room and say, here's my situation, here's my vision, here's my goal, here guys, here's my problem today, help me get to that next level. I am not exaggerating, folks, when I say to you that at the end of 8 or 9 hours of masterminding, I have more energy than when I started. Now that is cool. When you can sit in a room of people and actually walk out on a higher level and not feel drained. I mean, we're sitting in a meeting. If there's anything that should drain our energy, it's a meeting, right? Oh man, it's such an amazing experience to be in that room and to be able to deal with and talk with and be peers with other appraisers from across the nation and help them to move to the next level. That is an attitude thing. And that is what my mastermind students choose to be a part of. We have an online group for my all-star team, folks, and guess what? There's no negativity in there at all because I don't allow it. You can't be a member of my all-star team, much less the dream team, without a good attitude. The ability to be able to deal with life in reality, but have a good attitude about it and say, you know what? It is what it is, but I choose to do this with it. That's my message today, folks. It's that you have the ability, you have the agency to choose your attitude for the most part every day. Doesn't mean you're not going to have crappy days, you will. But overall, in general, if you're not enjoying what you're doing as an appraiser, there's something wrong. And it's not them, it's you. I'm going to say that again. If you're not enjoying your job every day, it's not them, it's you. It's your attitude. Speaking of you, have you thought about the Mastermind Group? Here's a little announcement on June 1st of 2017. So just coming up very, very soon, about a month. The prices for the Mastermind Group will be going up dramatically. I have more people coming in than I have places for. Economics 101 tell me that the prices need to rise as a consequence. So that we can be a little bit more picky about people who really want to be there. Now, those of you who are right in my mastermind now that are freaking out and saying, what? I'm grandfathering in anybody who joins the mastermind between now and June 1st. So if you are a member currently of the Mastermind, your prices will never change, ever. If you want to be in it for the next 15 years, they will stay the same for that 15 years, okay? So if you've thought about the Mastermind Group, but have thought maybe, just maybe, you might want to wait, I would not wait past June 1st. I can tell you there are some mastermind groups that are completely closed. We can only have a total of 8 people in each mastermind. There are some masterminds, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which ones are full, but there are some that are full. There's just no room. Now, you could get on the waiting list. No, I can't grandfather in people that are on the waiting list. I'm sorry. What you could do is join another mastermind. So let's say you wanted to be in Dallas, but Dallas is full. Okay, you could join Salt Lake, which I do know has at least 2 openings, two seats. I had somebody from California do this. They joined Salt Lake as they were waiting for Dallas to open, okay, to get their seat, to secure their seat, and you will be grandfathered in, if that makes sense. So if you join a group that may be away from where you want to be, maybe it takes a little extra travel to get there, I will still grandfather you in, and then when there is a seat available in Dallas, if that's your city of choice, then you're automatically in that open seat, if that makes sense. So you have to actually be signed up and paying on a monthly basis in order to receive the grandfather clause. Okay. On June 1st, the prices go up significantly. By the way, I should just mention here, I am launching a new program on June 1st. It will be something in between the All-Star team and the Mastermind team. The Mastermind team is still the VIP top level. If you want top-notch VIP treatment as far as your ability to move your appraisal business forward, the Mastermind is still where it's at. The All-Star team is it's the basics, it's the principles, it's the foundation of what I do, and it's a great place to be. There will be something in between. I'll be making more of an announcement as we get closer to that towards the end of May. But just know that is coming. But as part of that process, we are moving to a new platform online, and that's when the prices will increase for the Mastermind Group. So if you are interested in being a part of the Mastermind, please reach out to me, and I will do the best I can to get back with you in a timely manner and accommodate you as best as I can. Thank you for joining me today, folks. I hope this hasn't been too much of a downer. I went into this discussion thinking, you know what, there's so much negativity going out there. I want to do something positive. And I think maybe it possibly turned into just a lot of talk about negativity. And I hope that's not the case because, folks, I love what I do. Man, I hope you do too. I hope you love being an appraiser. I do. Absolutely love it. I wake up every single day thinking I am lucky as hell to do what I do. To walk through people's houses, to talk to people, to help them with their mortgage situation, or death of a loved one, or divorce situation, or whatever we may be dealing with, folks. Your home is such a huge part of your life, and I, as an appraiser, get to help and assist with that. I get to study the markets and find comps and use detective skills to find out what that house is worth. It is so fun, but most importantly, I get to make my own schedule. I get to make my own life. I get to choose when I do inspections and when I don't. I get to choose when I get to take vacations and when I don't. I get to choose what I get to do with my kids. I wrote a blog post just the other day, and I wrote it while I was sitting on, no, it was actually it was a newsletter article for the All-Star team. And I wrote it while I was sitting on the bleachers watching my 2 sons participate in a ballroom dance competition on a national level. And I got to choose that. Folks, we are lucky and blessed to be appraisers. I hope you feel the same way I do about this great profession that we belong to. Thank you for joining me today. And please comment below, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on the podcast. Please, I love your feedback. Thanks for joining me. I love my listeners. We're continuing to grow, and I just appreciate you spreading the word. Thanks again. We'll catch you next time.